Michael Jordan destroys load management. You probably think of today, NBA stars sitting out when they not hurt, empty primetime matchups, and fans paying full price to watch backups. But if you watched basketball before the 2010s, that idea didn't exist, and nobody stood against it harder than Michael Jordan. Jordan never treated games like optional appearances. If he could walk, he played. If he was hurt, he pushed through it. He believed every night mattered, especially for the fans sitting in the very last row who saved up just to see him once in their life. Today's players have better travel, better recovery, better medical staff, every advantage imaginable, but they are playing fewer games than ever. So in this video, we're gonna break down how Michael Jordan's mentality completely destroys modern load management, why players of his era saw the game differently, and how the NBA reached this soft, rest-heavy era we stuck with today. Section 1, Jordan's mindset, was built before the NBA ever saw him. Before we even get into load management, you have to understand something important. Michael Jordan's mentality didn't start in the NBA. It didn't start in Chicago, or North Carolina, or even in college rivalries. His mindset was built long before all of that, and it shaped the way he approached every single game for the rest of his career. Jordan grew up in an era where you didn't sit out of anything unless something was broken. You played through pain. You competed even when you weren't the most talented guy on the floor. And if someone beat you, you didn't take a night off, you worked until the next time you saw them. That mindset followed him to UNC, where Dean Smith pushed him harder than almost any coach in the country. Every practice was a war. Every drill was a competition. If Jordan lost a single possession, he took it personally, not emotionally competitively. And when he entered the NBA in 1984, he didn't change a thing. He wasn't thinking about pace yourself or save your legs for the playoffs. He was thinking about proving himself every night, because in the 80s, you didn't earn respect from your peers by talking about potential. You earned it by showing up every game, every quarter, every possession. That's why, even as a rookie, veterans were shocked by how he practiced. He wasn't pacing himself. He wasn't conserving energy. He went full speed from start to finish, and that intensity spilled into the regular season. He played all 82 games as a rookie not because anyone forced him, but because it never crossed his mind to sit unless something was seriously wrong. In Jordan's world, the game demanded effort, not rest plans. And that mentality sets the foundation for everything we see Ray about to compare with today's NBA. Section 2, Playing Hurt, was the standard, not the exception. One of the biggest misunderstandings about Jordan's era is this idea that players back then didn't get injured. They absolutely did. The difference is how they responded to it. Jordan's own career is loaded with examples. His second year in the league, he broke his foot, a serious injury that should have ended his season. Management wanted him to shut it down completely. They wanted to protect the long-term investment. Jordan didn't care. He was so desperate to play that he convinced the Bulls to let him return under a strict minutes restriction. And even then, he fought them every single night. There's a famous moment during a close game against Indiana. There were 30 seconds left, Bulls down 1. Jordan had already reached his minute cap, so they tried to sit him. The crowd booed. Jordan stared straight at management and basically said, "I am a basketball player. I am here to play, not watch." That was his mindset. Not reckless, not dramatic, just competitive. But he wasn't the only one. In the 80s and 90s, almost every star played hurt. Larry Bird played with chronic back issues for years. Isaiah Thomas played an entire quarter on a badly sprained ankle. Kobe, years later, tore his Achilles, stood up, and knocked down his free throws. Jordan's teammates even joked about how extreme he was. One of them said there was a season where Jordan practiced and played almost the entire year on one leg because his body was that beat up, and he still played all 82. That was the standard back then. If you weren't seriously injured, you played. If you could walk, you suited up. If you hurt, you dealt with it. Not because they wanted to be heroes, but because showing up was part of the job. This mindset is the exact opposite of what we see in today's load management culture. Section 3. How load management quietly took over the NBA. To understand why Jordan's mindset hits so hard today, you have to look at how quietly load management crept into the league. It didn't show up overnight. It wasn't announced. There was no rule change saying, hey, stars should rest more. It just appeared. And once it did, the entire league shifted. The turning point was NT the 2020s. It started earlier, mid to late 2010s, mostly connected to a few players and a few organizations trying to be smart about long-term health. Teams wanted to protect their stars. Players wanted longevity, and sports science departments became bigger and more influential than ever. In theory, it all made sense. Limit minutes, reduce stress, use analytics to predict fatigue. But the unintended result was simple. Once a few stars started sitting out healthy games, everyone felt they had permission to do it too. The Kawhi era in San Antonio, the LeBron maintenance days in Cleveland, Joel Embiid's early career minute restrictions in Philly. These weren't isolated moments, they became templates. Teams built entire seasons around rest schedules. National TV games were treated like inconveniences instead of showcases. And the message changed from play unless you can to rest unless you have to play. Meanwhile, the data went in the wrong direction. Even with all the sports science, players started missing more games, not fewer. Injuries didn't go down. Fans weren't happier, and the product on the court lost a little bit of its soul. The wild part is this. Players today have every advantage Jordan didn't: better medical care, better shoes, better flights, better recovery methods. Yet they be playing fewer minutes and fewer games than any era before them. It's the irony at the heart of the load management era. The easier the game became, the less often stars showed up to play it. Section 4. The fans took the biggest hit. The people who felt the impact of load management, the fastest weren't coaches, analysts, or even the league office. It was the fans. Because when a superstar sits out, the game doesn't just lose talent. It loses the entire reason most people bought a ticket in the first place. Think about it from the perspective of a family watching just one game a year. They save up, pick the date months in advance, buy parking, food, jerseys, and then the night arrives. They get inside the arena, look down at the court, and the star they came to see is in street clothes, not injured, just resting. Jordan talked about this constantly. He cared about the guy in the very top row who could barely afford a ticket. He cared about kids who might only get one chance to watch him in person. To him, skipping a game when he was healthy felt disrespectful. That connection between players and fans is what's been lost. Today, fans can tune into a national TV game and see half the stars out for maintenance. Tickets don't get cheaper, the broadcast doesn't change, and the value of the experience drops instantly. Load management didn't just change the schedule. It changed the relationship between the league and the people who watch it. Section 5. The numbers. Expose the era divide. If there is one thing that completely destroys the argument for load management, it's the numbers. Because once you look at the data from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, the difference is almost unbelievable. Take the 1990-2000 decade. In that 10-year span, 58 players, 58, played all 82 games in a single season. Not once, but every year. And many of those players did it multiple times. Stars, role players, defensive specialists, guys on heavy workloads, everyone. Now, compare that to the 2020s. The seasons with the fewest players completing all 82 games have all happened recently. 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, 4 straight years with historically low participation. Some seasons barely had a handful of players finish the full schedule. Not stars, not starters, barely anyone. And remember, players today have shorter flights, better recovery tech, individualized training staffs, and more schedule protection than any era before them. Yet, the participation numbers fell off a cliff. It was not just games played either. Minutes per game dropped, back-to-backs dropped, full-speed practices disappeared, and still, players are missing more time. That's the part that makes Jordan's approach look even more impressive. When he played all 82 games multiple times, he wasn't doing it in an optimized, science-backed era. He was doing it with 1980s medical care, physical practices, and brutal travel. The numbers don't lie. The older era played more, played harder, and showed up consistently. And the modern era, despite having every advantage, simply doesn't. Section 6. The money problem. No one wants to talk about. There's another part of this conversation that almost never gets mentioned, but it's impossible to ignore. The money changed the mentality. In Jordan's era, players earned good money, but nothing close to today is contracts. A star couldn't afford to coast because every season mattered for their future earnings. They had to perform. They had to compete. They had to prove themselves every night if they wanted the next deal. Today, the structure is completely different. Rookie contracts for top picks are massive. Extensions hit 9 figures before a player has even played in big playoff moments. Corporate sponsorships come early. Social media fame builds before they've accomplished anything. Players are financially secure long before they've carried a franchise or earned real pressure. And that changes behavior. Charles Barkley said it bluntly. You can have a guy making $95 million saying he cannot play 4 nights a week. He is right. The league created a system where players get rewarded up front for potential not production. And once the bag is secured, some stars naturally become comfortable. Not all of them, but enough to shift the culture. Then you get situations like Ben Simmons, a player who signed a huge contract, struggled, shut down, and never looked the same again. That is the extreme case. But even the moderate version players, pacing themselves because the money is guaranteed, becomes normal. Jordan never operated that way. He believed you had to earn everything. The respect, the fame, the paychecks, the attention. And when he talks about today's players getting everything early, he says the same thing. It creates bad habits, and bad habits spread. Section 7. Why Jordan's standard still sets the tone. Even though Jordan retired decades ago, his approach is still the measuring stick players get compared to, and there is a reason for that. It wasn't the shoes, the highlights, or the scoring titles. It was the way he showed up. Jordan didn't believe in selective effort. He believed in consistency. If a game was on the schedule, he treated it like an obligation not to the team or the league, but to the people who came to watch. That is why teammates still talk about how intense he was in practices. Some of them say competing with him in scrimmages felt harder than real games. That attitude created an environment where players around him didn't want to take shortcuts either. If your leader played all 82 games, pushed through pain, and demanded effort every night, you couldn't be the guy who tapped out. You had to rise to his level. Compare that with today's environment. When the biggest faces of the league sit out games for prevention or maintenance, it sends a very different message. Younger players see it, role players see it, and eventually it becomes normal. That's why Jordan's standard still resonates so strongly. It wasn't about being a superhero. It wasn't about ego. It was about respecting the game enough to show up for it. Every night, every city, every fan. And when you stack that commitment next to the load management era, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. Jordan didn't just play basketball. He embodied the responsibility that comes with being a star. And that's what today's NBA is missing. Section 8. The face of the league sets the culture. If you really want to understand why load management exploded, you have to look at one simple truth. The face of the league sets the tone. In Jordan's era, the standard was clear. Your best player had to be available every night. Your leader didn't rest unless something was seriously wrong. And when your top guy played all 82 games, everyone else followed. That's how culture works. It starts at the top and moves downward. Now, compare that to the modern era. LeBron James, the face of the NBA for more than 15 years, has played all 82 games exactly once. He doesn't hide from rest days. He doesn't apologize for them. And because he is the most influential player of his era, his habits spread. Younger stars watched him manage his body. Teams copied the strategy. Medical staffs built rest into the schedule. And suddenly, load management wasn't a rare exception. It became the expectation. It is not about blaming one player. It is about understanding the power of influence. When the top guy takes nights off, everyone feels allowed to do the same. That's why Jordan's presence still looms so large. When he entered the league, he didn't just raise the level of play. He raised the level of responsibility. He made availability part of greatness. So, when fans say the NBA needs a reset, they are really saying something simple. They want a leader who treats every game like it matters again the way Jordan did. Because once the face of the league changes the culture, the entire league follows. So, when you look at the gap between Jordan's era and today's NBA, it really comes down to one thing. Showing up meant something. Not for stats, not for awards, not for brand deals, but for the game, for your teammates, and for the people who paid to see you play. Load management didn't just change how often stars take the floor. It changed the expectations. It changed the culture. And it made fans feel disconnected from a league that used to pride itself on toughness, consistency, and reliability. Jordan proved that availability is part of greatness. He played when he was tired, hurt, frustrated, or overmatched because that's what leaders did. And then why his mindset still destroys the logic behind modern rest culture.